In today's video, we are talking about the biggest stories, AEW plans being revealed for St. Patrick's Day Slam. A lot of big stuff. AEW promoting this event very hardcore. Also, in addition to that, we're going to talk about early pay-per-view buys, the number that's floating around for AEW Revolution, overall successful or not. We're going to discuss it. And then also WWE NXT bringing in The Miz, Dolph Ziggler. Why are they doing this? We're going to talk a little bit more about that strategy. As always, I keep you up to date with everything that's happening in pro wrestling. I give you guys my reactions to the biggest stories, and today is very interesting because WWE has announced that Dolph Ziggler will be on a special episode of Miz TV. This is a very interesting decision by WWE. Obviously, we saw AJ Styles on NXT 2.0. We saw him go back and forth with Grayson Waller. And then after that, now we have seen Tommaso Ciampa go to the main roster. Dolph Ziggler come to NXT. NXT champion Braun Breaker is no longer the NXT champion, obviously, because he lost the belt in a triple threat match. There is a strategy behind this. I think it's common sense, but Meltzer also weighed in on this. Meltzer said that the strategy behind having Raw stars appear on NXT 2.0 and talent from the developmental brand appear on the Red brand is to help build up NXT 2.0. Now, obviously, again, this is common sense. Meltzer didn't really have to say it, but it is very, very clear WWE is obviously trying to cross-promote between the two shows on the USA Network. Now, back in the day, I want to say 2012, 2013, 2014-ish, it wasn't uncommon to see main roster members go down for a program in NXT. We saw it happen actually a little bit here and there. Now in WWE 2022, it sounds like it's something that's becoming a regular thing. I think once it becomes too much of a regular thing, it ruins the specialty of it. So I hope WWE is not in this whole idea mindset where they have to do this literally every single week, because I don't think WWE NXT will benefit from it. The idea here is to develop these wrestlers and give them a chance to develop characters, get better in the ring, work cameras, and I think the more and more that they do that and then interact with Raw superstars, it no longer feels special. So if you make it a limited time thing once in a while, I think it's a good idea. However, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. All right, guys, I do want to talk a little bit about AEW Revolution. As you guys know, I said this was one of AEW's best pay-per-views that they had, even though the pay-per-view felt like it went really long. Every match, everything really had a purpose. Every match really delivered. I don't really care about the crowd reaction. What I care about is my reaction. And I genuinely thought AEW Revolution 2022 was AEW's best pay-per-view that they have ever put out as a company. And I've been to a couple pay-per-views. I went to both Double or Nothing, the very first one. I went to All Out in 2019 and 2021. Obviously COVID kind of ruined my plans to travel, but I probably would have been to a lot more pay-per-views. And I've been saying that, you know, Revolution was phenomenal. Now, there's a couple different people talking about the numbers. I know Meltzer kind of talked about this too on his show, that it looks like Revolution did around 165 to 170,000 buys, which is 14% higher than the estimated number for Revolution. Now, keep in mind, for those who don't know, I specifically like talking about pay-per-view buys because the pay-per-view model, you know, in general, it's a very interesting thing these days when you look at like television deals and streaming rights, and you look at, you know, WWE on Peacock. You know, you get all this value for what, $5 to $10 a month. You know, for AEW to even have over 100,000 buys, these pay-per-views cost about $50. So just for context, like if AEW is securing 165,000 buys at $50 per pay-per-view, I mean, there's a good indication there that pay-per-views isn't necessarily what's wrong with the market today, right? Like when you look at overall streaming, because everybody's talking about streaming, and I've said this before with AEW possibly going to HBO Max or AEW having their own streaming service or whatever it may be, it just doesn't make sense for AEW's model to put pay-per-views for $5-10 a month. People are willing to spend $50 for a pay-per-view. And I think that's a good indication of what AEW's product is. AEW caters to their audience, and when they cater to their audience is willing to buy into the pay-per-views. Now, if AEW doesn't cater to their audience, if AEW is not putting out a good product, I don't think they get remotely close to that number of pay-per-view buys. So all in all, this is a really good number for AEW. And I think a lot of people, you know, I'm telling you guys that I think AEW Revolution was a better pay-per-view than All Out, which is really crazy when you consider you had Bryan Danielson, Ruby Soho, and Adam Cole all debut. But I think Revolution was not only a better pay-per-view, I think a lot of people think Revolution was a better pay-per-view because in general, there was just so much good stuff. So now what's going to happen at the next Double or Nothing that's taking place in Vegas? Probably going to have a very high amount of pay-per-view buys. I think AEW is going to continue beating their own records at some point, as if they keep up this result of good television, good booking, good storylines. And it just goes to show you that right now in wrestling, there is literally something for everybody. WWE is providing something to their audience. AEW is providing something to their audience. Impact is providing something to their audience. New Japan is providing something to their audience. The reason why I mention that is because it seems like every single wrestling company right now is providing something good to the industry, which is phenomenal. And obviously, I've said it before, I really think it's important that every company tends to do well, just because if the industry grows, everything gets better. And obviously, when you look at AEW's growth, that's another spot where people can go work. Now that Tony Khan bought ROH, these signings make sense, right? Speaking of AEW and massive plans, I don't know if you guys watch basketball or anything like that, but I was tuning into the San Antonio Spurs game, and guess who was there? Thunder Rosa getting a Spurs jersey. They're obviously promoting AEW. They're promoting Thunder Rosa. Why? Because AEW St Patricks Slam. Guys, this is like a big thing for AEW. AEW is treating this as a big event, and they're promoting Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker as the marquee match. Now, obviously, the reason for this is because they are having a women's championship match. Now, I have said before that I think AEW kind of missed the boat with this storyline. Not that the storyline's bad. Not that anything really went wrong. I wish they kind of pivoted away from Thunder Rosa and Britt and then revisited later, right? Which is fine. They kind of came back to it. I wish they didn't do that just because the storytelling between the two has been absolutely phenomenal. Now, the belief is that AEW will actually have this as the main event match for Dynamite. I don't know if that's really the case. They haven't necessarily confirmed it. The way that they're promoting this marquee match, I believe Britt Baker winning at Revolution was pretty much the indication that Thunder Rosa is winning this women's championship, which is the same reason why they are actively promoting Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker all over. Especially with Thunder Rosa being from Texas. It's her hometown. It's a feel-good story. The press, everybody's talking about it. Good on AEW for getting people excited about this match, because I think they have such a great history. Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker are two of the best in AEW. Honestly, I'm excited about this match. So I look forward to it. Thunder Rosa winning the women's championship. Nothing is guaranteed, but the way they're promoting it, the way that they're making it, a big deal, it is very clear that that seems to be the direction they go. Obviously, I wonder about Jamie Hayter and where the split comes from that, but we'll discuss this as it happens. As always, make sure you guys subscribe. I will see you next time. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below.
Yourself